So let's test the new Stockfish engine against Houdini 4 Pro, which is an old engine, my second ever chess engine, which I had bought half a year after I have bought Deep Fritz 14, and it's very strong. It actually crushed Deep Fritz 14, and you know all that Kramnik lost against Deep Fritz 10, I think. Okay, Stockfish goes for the move e4, and Houdini 4 thinks about e5, so far so normal. Both have around 5 minutes and 5 seconds, so Houdini goes for the Sicilian, so we might have a fight here. Knight f3, instant reply. So e6 is what Houdini is now currently thinking of. This would mean that we will get a Taimanov Sicilian. Now it thinks about d6, d4, cd4, cd4, bishop b5, check. I don't think Stockfish will go for this. Stockfish is going d4, yes, this is also what I thought about, but it will probably not go for the check. So let's see what this game will show us. Houdini really crushed Deep Fritz 14 in one game. I also blocked a couple of years ago, so now knight to c3 is what both engines are thinking of. And then g6 or a6. Stockfish 15 gives a6 and Houdini 4 thinks about g6. I let both play without opening book. So Stockfish 15 thinks about the knight orf as well as Houdini now as well. Bishop b3 is what Stockfish thinks about. It's also a valid move. I personally prefer bishop c4 or bishop e2, but bishop e3 is also quite normal, but I don't really want this knight to g4 idea, although it's not that bad for white either. You just go bishop to g5 and continue from there, but we have e5 anyway. Knight heading towards b3, at least this is what I would do, and also Stockfish considers that move. Okay, currently both engines think that the position should be kind of in the balance. Stockfish gives it as a slight edge to white, but I think this has all been seen before, but I'm not that sure, but it looks familiar to me, this kind of position. So f3 or bishop f3. Bishop e2 is what Houdini 4 thinks, but f3 is also nice. I think it's, yeah, both moves. Maybe now the bishop can come to c4. Not sure. Also queen to d2 and long castles is now coming. So bishop e6, queen d2, yes, this is what I thought, and now knight b to d7 is what both engines are thinking of. So the opening, actually both engines are predicting each other's moves quite good. Time-wise it's also quite similar, and let's see. Stockfish is considering a line like knight to d7, g4 and castles, and after castles, long castles, b5, g5. Well, that's a bit crazy. Knight coming into h5, maybe bishop to e2, f4 ideas. Interesting stuff here coming up. And oh, okay, h5 prevents any g4. I think also this is something I have already seen. Maybe not in this particular position, but something similar maybe. So bishop e2 is what Stockfish is considering, and then maybe putting a knight on d5. Okay, also preparing g4 a bit more. Knight b to d7. It's typical knight orf position here. I wonder if Stockfish 15 would win this with black as well. I mean, I think Stockfish will win this game. I mean, it's rather newer engine, and also much stronger. It's best engine in the world currently. Okay, knight d5, bishop to f5, and Stockfish gives this as a slight edge to white with the move castles short. Okay, now castles and knight a5. Okay, I wouldn't do that. Okay, the first move I'm kind of shocked about will come up. Knight to a5, just going after b7. Okay, I understand that white is a little bit better, but this... Okay, it also prepares to move c4. Maybe c5. Wow, I don't know. And what is black doing? Putting a knight on c4, maybe going b6. Although b6 now doesn't work because of knight c6. Oh, okay. This doesn't allow the move b5 or b6 as well as hitting the pawn. Well, this knight is annoying and it cannot be kicked away. And now he's going for b4. Okay, play on the queen side instead of attacking the king. Okay, very well. Houdini 4 gives it as equal, and Stockfish 15, according to those kind of machines, gives this as nearly close to winning for white already. Okay, I don't see this, why this should be... I see that this is a bit better for white, yeah, but not that much. I think it's still playable for black, at least on my level. Knight f6 played. I would go c4 here rather instantly, but rook f to e1 is what Stockfish is yeah, now he is considering c4. Yeah, c4, c5 looks actually quite interesting, maybe in some lines. h3, what? What is this? Preparing g4? Can't believe. I mean, what is this? 0, 0, 0, 0 from Houdini and 1.00 by Stockfish 15. Very interesting. h3 wouldn't have done that. Who is coming up with such things? Queen d7, logical move, connecting rooks. Maybe there are some bishop takes h3 ideas coming up. Oh, the knight coming into c4. Oh, heading towards b6, or maybe bishop b6. No, knight b6 is rather strong, I guess. Okay, it tries to cover the square. Knight b6 anyway. Okay, and then c5, c4. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's actually quite a nice plan. But I don't know why you had to include h3 in this stuff. Couldn't you have done this without the move h3? I don't know. And now a4? Wow, instead of c4. Well, every normal being would play c4 here. Well, a4 as well, but I guess, I mean, c4, c5, rook to c1, a4, stuff like this. Maybe b5. Okay, now Stockfish 15 also thinks about c4 again. I would go with c4. I mean, c4 and then maybe c5 or a4, but c4 is there in all those lines, so okay. Yeah, Stockfish is a bit... Houdini 4 is a bit cramped here in this knight orf. Okay, goes h4 maybe. What? c4, rook e8 is what Stockfish 15 gives for Houdini. h4 is what Houdini thinks of. Okay, now a4, building on the queen side. What is there on the king side for black? Is this any danger? Any dangerous? Okay, now you have to take this. Bishop takes b6. And what comes next? I mean, e4 maybe. e4 looks quite interesting. I mean, you have to do it. You probably have to go e4 here. Or is the plan knight to h5? Oh, that's also nice. Going with the knight to f5, go queen. Well, knight f5 and queen g5 threaten bishop h3. I'd be a bit scared of this attack by black. Lost many games where I played like this. Not in that kind of precise way, but played like this on the queen side or something. And then knight f5 hit and then knight and queen and everything, and then suddenly I went I went from being winning to went for having a draw. But this is exactly the thing I predicted moves ago. Bishop coming to c4, c5. But with those bishops, oh my god. They're just strong. Okay, queen f6 I'm not really understanding. Would have gone for knight f5 and queen g5. Okay, a5. Stockfish 15 thinks this is winning for white, and Houdini 4 not seeing the threat yet. I would say it's better for white, yes, but winning? Not quite, not quite. And how do you actually break through? You cannot take on d6 because the bishop would hang. b6 takes, yeah, maybe b6, although b6 just blunders the pawn. So that's also not working. King h2 played, yeah, okay, any kind of prophylactic to knight f5. Oh, then the queen didn't go to this square, rather to f6 to g6. Okay, okay, rook h8, I don't understand at all. That's wow, that's kind of a weird move. Okay, rook a3. Still material is in the balance. Shortly Houdini thought rook a b8. Shuffling around doing nothing. Well, just do something. Queen g3, knight f5 at least. Well, Houdini is having no plan at all. No plan at all. And he's seeing the threat a bit, 0.46 with a check, and he gives the line king back to h1 and queen to g6. I don't really understand this, to be honest. I mean, I would go for knight to f5. King h1 or bishop to d7 is what Stockfish thinks about. Houdini just goes back. So, kind of saying to Stockfish, what are you having here? Okay, 1 minute left on the clock. This might also be a factor, but Stockfish 15 has a bit more time. Like 15 seconds or so. Maybe even less now. Okay, they have approximately the same time now. Like 5 seconds more for Stockfish, but anyway. What to do? What was the move? Rook to c1. Okay, protecting the bishop. So now maybe pawn d6, queen d6 and bishop c5? And then d6 and d7 maybe. Oh, wow. That might be a plan. Okay, he's blocking it all together, but pawn d6? Pawn takes d6, rook a c3, okay. Just doubling on the c file first. Wow, preparing stuff. Okay, this is... I mean, I would probably say it's winning, but... For a human still, there are many ways to screw this up. With white... Probably it's hard to lose this position. Just look at the queen side there with those bishops and rooks, queen, everything, space advantage. d6 weak, e5 maybe scrambling then as well, the bishop on c4 pinning the pawn on f7. Very good stuff. Okay, now the knight went back, and now Stockfish 15 thinks that it's kind of immediately winning after bishop to d3. Not immediately, but a huge advantage. 4.40 or 4.40. Even more now. Houdini 4 still not seeing that much of a threat now. The queen is attacked. Queen to g3 is... Yeah, but okay, those kind of moves, they're kind of weird. What? Giving a couple of checks, returning the pieces. Okay, takes on c6. Wouldn't have done this either. I mean, you just give your opponent a passed pawn here. 2 steps away from queening. Will be protected by the bishop on b6 when it's coming on c7. Also protected by those rooks. Maybe at some point you can go b5, pawn to b5, and if a b5... Can you have a passed pawn on a5 as well? Plus 5.02. Knight f5 threatening pawn on h3, so king h1. Yeah, and now Houdini 4 also sees it coming. Plays the move d5, but this time it's not equalizing in this thing. Bishop returning back, attacking the queen. Yeah, those bishops staring at the queen side. And in the middle of the board they were even also very strong, but they are not needed. There is no kingside attack. Yeah, now the pawn is coming to c7, and what to do there? I mean, it's still even on material, but the quality of the rooks basically is what's deciding the game, as well as the pawn on c7 and now rook to b6. But this is okay. Rook takes. Okay, now d5 might be hanging, but if d5 drops, then c7 drops as well. Maybe queen c2 or rook back to c. Okay, you take the knight. Oh, you take the pawn with the queen now, right? Yeah, because of the takes, you have queen d8 check picking up the rook. Okay, now going into this rook endgame, but this must be simply lost. When you go rook, I don't know, well, it's still pretty difficult to win this, at least for me it would be. But okay, you hit the pawn on h5 anyway. Okay, rook takes d3. And now let's see. Oh, h3 now makes kind of sense. Now the king has some breathing room. Rook to d4, hitting the pawn. Okay, now it's one pawn advantage for Stockfish. That's how good Houdini 4 is, actually. With the black pieces going into a rook endgame versus Stockfish. Okay, now it's being down 2 pawns, but anyway, reaching those endgame in the first place is kind of a success, I guess. Very well fought game, but I think it's over. Time-wise, they are 10 seconds apart. Houdini is a bit better on time. Yeah, well, you see this there as well. Big and fat down here. Okay, h4. Should be quite simple from now on. I mean, probably not win it against Houdini here. But I would also not lose it with white. Not even against Stockfish, I think. I mean, up 2 pawns in a rook's endgame. Can't be losing. Oh, okay, now Stockfish is also ahead on the clock. Well, this game is kind of over. There is nothing to do anymore. Wasn't spectacular, actually. I mean, Stockfish did very well coordinated stuff on the queen side, while as Houdini kind of shuffled around with some checks, going back and forward with its pieces on the king side, with no real attack. I would at least have tried something like queen g5, knight f5, knight f4, something, but in this case this is just death. I mean, also 2 seconds, 2.2 seconds for Houdini 4. Yeah, it's getting 5 seconds per move, but this is probably pretty difficult, and Houdini also gives it now as a close to 3-point advantage for white. So okay, king to g5. Mop-up job for Stockfish, I'd say. Okay, yeah, this check, and now going to the 6th rank, rook d6. Yeah, this is a Stockfish agrees. Okay, king g7. Yeah, but this loses a pawn. I would at least take on b4. But Stockfish also gives this his best, so now rook to Rook? What? Oh yeah, rook to b6, exactly. If rook takes, yeah, that's even stronger, because now if the pawn has would have been taken. Okay. Giving the check, forcing the king back again. Very nice endgame technique. More active rook, more active king, being up 2 pawns. That's lost. That's pretty lost for black. So, okay. Mate in 20, mate in 19 is Stockfish 15's crying out. Mate in 15, pawn has been pushed, b5. It's also Stockfish Houdini also got the mate now. So both engines playing quite quickly. This finish, so it will be over soon. a7, rook there. And now you just queen, I guess, or make a rook for that matter. It doesn't really matter. Take. Mate in 8, in 7. Just push the pawn. There is nothing to be done. Rook there, and it's over. Yeah, to sum this game up. It was a knight Orff, first of all. Which kind of knight Orff? Yeah, here you can see this is old book. Also h5 is still book, as I thought it would be. Yeah, the opening went on to be pretty normal for both sides, and then Stockfish just went over Houdini pretty quickly. And here is the first weird moment. I mean, why would you go queen f6, queen g6 if you can go knight f5, queen g5? I mean, this doesn't make that much sense. And then the follow-up, this check and going back. I mean, just shuffling around, and Stockfish in the meanwhile is just be here again. Just look at this, knight giving 1, check, returning back, just giving the move to white. I mean, if Houdini 4 will play like this against me, I don't know. If I play Houdini 4, I'm just getting dismantled all the time. But here, this is just weird. I mean, now it's pretty. I mean, this passed pawn over there. Pawn is falling, bishops exchange, rook for knight, going for this endgame. Being up a pawn, and here again, I mean, I would have probably gone for g5. I mean, I don't know, why not g5? Let's ask the winner of that game, Stockfish 15, why not go g5 here? Why not go g5? f5 is main, but what about g5, new variation? f4, f6, fg5, fg5, and rook to d6. Okay, what about this? Oh, then rook g6 and takes the pawn. Okay, that's why you lose the pawn anyway. And if you block like that, then the a6 pawn is hanging. So then you have two connected passes over there. So okay, going this endgame, but what you can learn out of this game is when is the right moment to go for the end game. But in that case it was simple, because you just had this pass pawn and you were guaranteed to being up a pawn, and you were always playing on the queen side kind of, so you never had any intention of mating your opponent on the king side anyway. So yeah, very well played game by Stockfish 15, have to say. Very good. Thanks for watching, see you next time, ciao.